Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this IoH webinar this afternoon. My name is Sam Coulstock, and I'm the Head of Professional Development here at the Institute of Hospitality, and I'll be your host this afternoon. I'm joined by an expert panel to talk about managing a customer-focused organisation in hospitality. But before we start, we just have a few housekeeping items to run through for today. So please, if you ask any questions, and we encourage you to ask questions throughout this webinar, please do type them into the question box on your screen and send them through, and we'll get to as many of those as we can towards the end of our time together today. We'll aim to finish within an hour of today. We may go over, we may run short, but it'll be about an hour. We'll spend time together talking about this subject. And remember, you can use this hour towards your CPD hours, and you can record those hours on your members dashboard under the CPD button. And CPD stands for Continuous Professional Development. Today's webinar will be filmed and placed on our on-demand channel on the IoH website, and you'll be able to watch that back at your leisure whenever you want to. So without further ado, let's introduce our panel. I'm just going to go around the screen as it is on my screen and ask each member to introduce themselves and briefly say why they said I'm in to the Institute of Hospitality. So Terry, can I start with you first, please?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for this invitation. It's great to be amongst other peers. My name is Terry. I represent today Leonardo Hotels, and I'm in because it's great to have the opportunity to meet and exchange ideas and experiences with other fellow professionals, so we can all get better and more developed.
Brilliant. Thank you, Terry. And Jacob?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jacob Gowan. I'm a general manager of the Melia White House Hotel. I said I'm in, I think, about 5 years ago with the Institute, and have learning and as much support as I can now provide from both sides of the coin, really, to the Institute. I think it's a great organisation. Obviously, things like this really help showcase the diverse nature of the training and the impact it can have across hospitality and exposure as well to all levels, which is really important. So happy to be here today and have this discussion.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jacob. Pamela, if I could come to you next.
Oh, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pamela Recker. I'm the program leader at.
Sorry, go ahead. I think there's just a bit of a time delay from Manchester to London. So let's try again.
Oh. Apologies, everyone. I'm Pamela Recker. I'm the program leader of the International Hospitality Business Management Programme at Manchester Metropolitan University, and I'm delighted to be part of this panel today. I think the Institute of Hospitality is amazing in itself as an association. It's great for our students, and it's great for us as lecturers developing that future of hospitality as well. This particular topic I'm particularly passionate about. I'm 25 years in the hospitality industry, working across different brands and different hotels positions, and customer focus has always been something that I've been very passionate about, so really excited to be part of this today.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you, Pamela. And Harsha, last but not least,
good afternoon. Yourself. Yes, good afternoon. So I'm Harsh. I'm the sales manager at Hampton by Hilton, London City. And I think I've joined Institute of Hospitality. I've came from India 2 years back, and coming to a new country, I think there couldn't be a better place to join the Institute and then start networking and getting to know the actual market. And it's been really great, made some really good friends along the ways, and looking forward for today's discussion.
Brilliant, thank you, Harsh. And just where were you from, Harsh?
I'm from India. I'm from Hampton by Hilton.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, and you're also a member of our youth council, aren't you?
Yes, I've recently joined our youth council.
Excellent, good stuff, brilliant. Well, thank you all again for giving up your time this afternoon and sharing your expertise and opinions to share amongst our membership. And that's what the Institute's all about, is sharing best practice and learning from each other. So today's subject, like I've already mentioned, is managing a customer-focused organisation. And this in the hospitality industry requires a multifaceted approach that prioritises customer satisfaction, engagement and loyalty. Some of the strategies to achieve this include cultivating a customer-centric culture, staff training and development, empowering employees, gathering and acting on customer feedback, personalisation, anticipate needs, consistent service standards, reward and recognition of employees, continuous improvement, and community engagement. And what we want to do this afternoon is try to explore some of those strategies to deliver that customer-focused organisation approach. We won't be able to cover all of those points, but we're going to try and do our best and deep dive into some of those. So I'd like to start the conversation with you, Jacob, if I may, because as captain of your business, as the general manager of the Amelia White House, you're really set the culture standards of the organisation. Your culture. We've done quite a lot of webinars on culture, and it always comes down to the leadership within the business. But how do you approach culture in terms of a customer-centric culture? How do you go about that, setting the bar straight?
Well, I think firstly, I'm going to change my job title to captain, so you should see that on LinkedIn. That sounds much. And well, I think, to be honest, the question where we start is the holistic approach. So the culture is critical, as we know, to any organisation, regardless of the focus. Doesn't matter what the message or the narrative or the objective is. To build something fundamentally strong and have those foundations in place, it needs to be communicated in the right way. Otherwise, you can have an immediate impact, but that immediate impact will last, you know, a month, 5 months, maybe a year. But what we want to try and implement into organizations is longevity and a consistent culture that encourages a positive mindset towards a collective objective. So the very first stage of that for me when I start in a new hotel is to understand initially the vision and the mission, and from that can then, you know, curate and create ways to communicate that across all levels of the organization. So, you know, where we understand that to have a team of people from different cultures and backgrounds and loyalties and training as well, lots of different standards and levels within that, you need each of those to complement and contribute towards the collective success. So the message can't be one size fits all. The objective in the end is, of course, to have everyone push towards the same goal. But putting everyone in a room and expecting everyone to receive the same message just because they heard it the same way is a bit of a fool's task. So it's recognizing that straight away, being consistent with the message. You know, it says that to learn a new skill, a very basic skill, there's a minimum of 20 hours of training required for that. If we're going to teach someone how to make a latte, it's consistent training across 20 hours, maybe 45 minutes a day for the next few weeks. And by the end of that month, they're going to be completely confident and competent in that task. The same rules apply when we're trying to create a culture that is guest-centric. There needs to be a very consistent message. It has to come from the top. So my example of that at the moment is the Melia way of saying good morning, welcome, and all this stuff to guests every day is to put your hand on your heart. That's the Melia thing. So wherever you are in the world, people should look at you when you walk into a Melia hotel, put their hand here and say, good morning, buenos dias, whatever it might be. And there's reasons for that, but it's, you know, whether people agree or disagree is kind of redundant. We need people to carry the message. So the morning meeting every day, I stand at the door, good morning, good morning, good morning. You know, it's my own management team. They laugh at me and they think it's a bit silly and all this kind of stuff. Now every waiter and waitress turns to me and says, I've literally seen them 10 minutes ago, but they do this again to me. And we do it to each other. And it then starts to create a bit of momentum and a bit of a story behind it, maybe a bit of a laugh. But the key is around just encouraging that consistent message and making sure that we're always looking for ways to communicate effectively and not just relying on a memo, an email that will have very limited impact. The vast majority of our workers who in hospitality tend to be practical learners. They don't tend to need to read an email to learn something. They need to see it physically to be part of it and for that messaging to be consistent. So I think that's the sort of the key to me to engaging and building a strong culture fundamentally with those foundations required in a big organization or a small one, and to, as I say, to really emphasize the main point, which in this circumstance is excellent guest service skills, exceptional guest service skills, and that's really how I would go about it.
And that's really good, Jacob. And I think that, you know, what you're saying there about the consistency of the message is so right, isn't it? And we've actually had somebody send us a comment already saying that they're a senior member of our membership, aka very old in their words, but they said that you know, they're getting a little bit frustrated with the world of hospitality where lots of it's going automated and we're not seeing as many smiling faces and the traditional hospitality contact with people one-to-one. And what you're saying there about just a hand on the heart to welcome people speaks right to the heart of that, doesn't it? It's very a traditional way of welcoming people. It's a cultural thing,
Yeah.
and it uses almost a universal language, whether you're, you know, speaking English or Spanish in your business. You know, everybody understands that body language, don't they?
Yeah, there's an element of authenticity which we found significant with this practice. With the idea of this is that when you say hello to guests around the hotel, we all have a habit of just turning and you make eye contact. Great, that's kind of fundamental thing, but that's kind of the sort of limit to it. Whereas when you have to do this, you literally turn to face the guest. You sort of engage with them in a more authentic manner, and the guest feels that actually you're not just ticking a box. And we held the Above and Beyond event here a couple of months ago, and it's about sustainability, but the strapline was not a tick box exercise. And when we talk about implementing culture, particularly around guest service standards, it's about making sure that all of these amazing ideas, all of these creative, innovative ways of improving guest experience, whether that's through technology or people-to-people contact, it's done in a genuine way where the guest feels you're doing it for the betterment of their experience, not for efficiency, not for a TripAdvisor review. You're doing the small things right, and that's the critical message to get across to the team, isn't it? Because we can throw information down their necks, we can demand of them the process, the SOP, and they will implement it. You know, that's what they're paid to do. But to do it in a genuine manner with authenticity, that's when you start to see these 5-star reviews coming through, because the guest feels that you're doing it and the only ambition you have is to give them the best possible experience. So I think technology can be great for assessment, particularly to understand if we are doing the right things, to measure the impact of what we've done. But of course, hospitality is people. So we don't want to lose that touch point. That's critical. You know, regardless of what style of hotel you are, what star rating, the fundamental element is that we need people to like their job, to be happy within the culture, and therefore they display that happiness through their service. And you know, that's where I see there's a amalgamation between the two sides of the coin, between process and SOP and all this kind of stuff, and genuine empathy in service skills.
It all makes absolute sense, Jacob, and I can see why you're the captain of your business. We can what you're talking about there leads really nicely onto one of the other key strategies, is around empowering employees. So if they've got that what you're talking about, that confidence, that ability to do the job, and that empowers the employees to have the authority to work autonomously, to make the decisions on the ground, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think you've said the word there. Autonomy is critical to empowerment, and there's a level of trust there that is required. There's many reasons to encourage employee empowerment, and the fundamental one, again, for me, is that driving of guest experience. If you have no autonomy, no empowerment to make a decision, to make a situation right for the guests, and you've got to get the duty manager or your boss or whoever it might be, or there's no one available to talk to them, the guest might leave unhappy, you know, and it's often a situation for the small things that the individual can resolve. That then becomes a collaborative effort. The team member feels responsible for the decision they've made, as long as they're supportive or supported in that decision, even if they make the mistake. You know, what the absolute worst, they're not going to give away, you know, a free car because someone ran out of toilet rolls in their room. Like the objectives and the guidelines still need to be set. That requires us to train people effectively, to give them maybe a template to utilize based on scales of complaint in that particular example. But it's then to allow them to make the mistakes a little bit. Well, we've all been there, we've all overcooked it a little bit. But by doing that, they'll start to understand that by listening to the guest, how severe is the complaint? Because you could have two people next to each other with the exact same issue, but the way that they're communicating it is differently because they don't feel the same way about that complaint.
Yeah.
They're telling you about it, but you know, one person's going to be happy with a genuine apology and the other person's going to want a discount or a bit of compensation. So without teaching the team these skills as they come up through being a waiter, being a receptionist, they're going to become managers without that really important skill set of problem resolution and effective interpersonal skills. So there's so many reasons to encourage that empowerment and take the hit every now and then when it goes wrong, but lead it with objective driven, so you're still setting the stall out for their own success. You're not just leaving it, you know, to free will, and to allow them that level of autonomy to make the decisions in that moment. You know, they'll come and say after, I made this decision because of the way the guest was acting, because the way the guest was telling me they were really, you know, upset by it. So therefore I did a little bit more. So it's being open-minded to ideas and allowing people to come up with innovative solutions to problem resolution.
Yeah, excellent. And I guess if I can move to you now, Harsh, because I think what Jacob's talking about there is, you know, a lot, especially when things go wrong, how to pick it up. And what would be good to hear from you is about how we stop that happening in the first place, and anticipating those needs of our guests before they realise that they need something. It's already done, isn't it? So we don't have to worry about the complaints. Can you give some examples of how you anticipate guest needs, how you identify them, and how you use that really?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's a very broad thing for anticipating guest needs. So one thing that is really important, you have to be a bit proactive, because that goes with the world. So you want to identify those needs at the first place without them occurring at that time. So first thing, because I'm quite young, I do get into a lot of data, and I do look at the historical data and trying to use the technology to see where it takes me. So first thing I would be saying, because we pre-opened this hotel, I've taken care of 3 different Hiltons. So this was a pre-opening hotel, and when I did the pre-opening 3 months ago, I joined the project, and since then, me, my general managers, and our leadership team were quite aligned to set that standard. So from the first place, we were pretty much into getting those personalized communications 1 month out of the hotel to the guests who have already booked, and getting those personalized emails out with pre-arrival emails, and kind of trying to help them with giving some local restaurant recommendations, like very small things, that these are the transport links, this is how you can travel when you're arriving here. And it was very, very personalized because it was pre-opening. So if a guest is coming from, sorry, I just need to get the motion lights on.
That's right.
So yeah, if the guest is arriving, let's say
Cut that bit
from,
out.
yeah, if the guest is arriving from India, so the personalized email was going that, okay, you're coming to Heathrow, that's where you take your transport to the hotel, and these
Brilliant.
are some of the best Indian restaurants where you can go to, while these are some British restaurants if you want to explore more culture. And I think this has been set as a standard within our front of the house teams as well. And right now we are the top 10 hotels in London on TripAdvisor. It's been 10 months into the opening. We are the top Hilton as well. We might not be the most luxurious hotel, but I think what our team does to anticipate those guest needs at the first place is far, far, far better. And that actually helps us with service recovery at times when something goes wrong. So yes, we are pretty much reliant on the data to see where the guest is coming from, their historic history, if they've stayed before, and then doing those proactive bits and pieces. And again, going away from the technical side, as Jacob was saying, empathy, you have to, while empowering, you have to actually empathize with the guest as well in case something goes wrong. And I was just attending a leadership whole day meeting yesterday, and yes, the person who was taking our lecture was trying to see that, okay, when you empathize, not even in hospitality but in every industry, it's quite useful, because person's life might be very big, but you know only this much about them. So at the first place, this is a human thing that you have to empathize with them. And I think it all comes down to knowing your guest really well, what they want from your stay in hospitality, and how you can do those small bits and pieces for them to make sure that you already know what they want and you can avoid anything which can go wrong during their stays. So everything from recommendations to doing your bits into getting something personalized in their rooms, or to train your staff at the first place when you are opening a hotel. I think all of these things have helped a lot to set those standards, to set that culture at the first place. And now we are just trying to build on it. So we tried a couple of things, and now whatever is working for us, we are doubling down onto it. So yes, I think anticipating the guest needs has helped us a lot in
Yeah.
terms of avoiding those service recovery phase. So yeah, that, and it's working really good for the hotel as well. And it
That's
helps me with my sales part as well, because when I'm even pitching to my clients, I'm going out for dinners, I can actually say that, okay, I know, I believe in the team, and then the results speak as well, not your ratings just on TripAdvisor, but other than that as well. You have that belief in the team, you have that uh, gut instinct that, okay, you want the client and you know that everything's going to go the right way. So yeah, it helps a lot.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really good to hear, Harsh, and congratulations on the TripAdvisor ratings as well. I'm sure our colleagues around the room will be hot on your heels, chasing you down on that as well. So keep it up. And you talked a lot there about the your team and the front of house teams and the guys and girls that are delivering on the ground. Terry, if I could come to you next and carry on that theme, because recognizing our team and our employees, however you want to frame it within your organization, is really important, isn't it? When somebody does a really good job, is to thank them and recognize them.
That's true. That's true. I think that it's really, really basic, not for hotels, not for hospitality, but generally for every company to appreciate the hard efforts of their people. People are not going always for the best salary, for the best title, but they go for the best environment. They go for companies or hotels where they know that they can be appreciated, that they can be their best version of themselves. That they know that if they're gonna do something, this is gonna be rewarded. In that sense, I'm very happy. I'm very proud that I belong to Leonardo Hotels, because there's a genuine effort for this reward. There's this philosophy. We have a lot of programs, we have a lot of activities that we want to share with our teams when they're doing something well, when they're doing something good. So in that case, we have many activities planned. For example, we do appreciation weeks, which is great. We just have partnerships with third parties that people, they can work with the other companies and they can have some discounts or some offers. At the same time, we operate a system with points called the Leo points. So every time that someone is going above and beyond, someone is doing great, there's this small recognition at the end of it. And it's really great. It's really fantastic. But I think that it's fundamental to recognize this one. And small things matter. The good food in the canteen, it matters. The right size of the uniform, it matters. Getting paid on time and have the correct amount in the bank, that matters. So all these small things that we try to work around, and we just try to have a nice environment for people to come and work with us. Because if they feel good, this positive energy, it will be transferred to the guests as well. Yeah. I genuinely believe, and I want to link this with what Jacob said earlier. I genuinely believe that you have to treat the others the way you want to be treated. So what do you expect when you visit the hotel as a guest? That's the same service that we have to offer. What do you expect when you are signing a new contract with a new company? You have some expectations. So you have to do our best to meet these expectations for our people. We have many things, as I said. We have many activities. We have an excessive program of rewards. And as a matter of fact, our hotel was in the internal employee survey was the top hotel in London for Leonardo. And this is something that I'm very proud of. It wasn't just me, it was a whole team effort, but nevertheless, it's a great achievement. But the thing is, it's the small things. The small things, the everyday support when you get something wrong. Because let's be honest, mistakes will happen. You know that you have someone to support you, that you're not going to throw you under the bus. Mistakes happen, and actually, this is a great opportunity to learn and develop. And you know, when you're going to do something great, when you're going to receive a fantastic review, when you're going to be #1 for the upsells, we're going to be there. We're going to celebrate. And frankly, I think that we should not be shy about it. We should celebrate it. We should yell it, say, well done, congratulations, you achieved it. It's all your hard work, and this is your reward. So we are very happy for your success. Keep it up. We're here, we see it. Keep it up, and hopefully in future it's going to be something more. So I think that it should be balanced. If you implement various different strategies, this will lead progressively to have a good team, a happy team, people that are going to be coming in the morning generally, provide hospitality to the guests, and on the side, the business will have a great benefit as scores are going to be off the roof.
That's really, really interesting, Terry, because I think a lot of what you're saying there is some of the is also is also quite cost effective. It's not expensive. What you're saying, thank you, costs zero, but can go a long, long way. And you know, recognizing that and thanking employees, you know, for their hard work, for the achievements, you know, comes, you know, the return on that investment is huge, isn't it? It's not only on the individual, but also on the business and the culture altogether. And Pamela, if I can bring you in now, because that all ties nicely together, I think, in training and development, doesn't it? So, you know, all of what we've heard about, you know, really comes from a place of having a highly trained and developed workforce, and that's your expertise at the university, isn't it? That's what you guys do. What can we be learning? What's coming up? What are the new things that we should be looking for in the L&D space here?
I think everything that everyone said has actually been really interesting because it ties very nicely into everything that we do in our programme. For the people that don't know about our programme, we have a lot of industry collaboration, so we're very industry focused. So we, as lecturers, we are all ex-industry ourselves with a lot of experience in the industry, but we bring in general managers, revenue managers, commercial managers, sales managers, HR managers. We bring them in to work with our students and also do guest lectures, and we go out to industry visits very regularly as well. So culture, like Jacob was talking about and other people mentioned, it's huge, and we have a unit just purely on culture for our final year students, where we talk about cross-cultural management and leadership and everything you've all said about that, rewarding and looking after your employees, and even just the little things like Terry mentioned, that appreciation goes a long way into making sure that your team are looked after, who then look after your guests. So we know it's that whole customer journey and that cycle. So that's a big part of what we teach at the university, is that culture and getting that right culture, which very much is Terry and Jacob said, comes from the leaders as well of those teams. And that's the kind of leaders that we're trying to put out into industry and getting them ready for their graduate roles that they're going into. But also what you mentioned as well, Sam, and I think someone's commented, as you said, about technology. We have again a big focus around data, digital technology. I recently took our first year students to a hotel in Manchester where they are just introducing robots into their service. But the interesting thing is that yes, they have the robot there, but it's not to replace any of the team by any means. The robot is there to kind of do those more menial jobs like taking out trash and things that are a bit more time consuming, hoovering up the public areas, so that the team can then spend more time with the customers and actually give them more attention than thinking, oh, I have to run up to a room, or I have to take the rubbish out, or I have to go and clean this. They can then focus purely on the customers and give them that one-on-one attention, because we know that personalisation, knowing what our customers' needs and wants actually are, is what creates those satisfied customers. And that's something that we very much teach, is having that customer focus no matter what you do, whether it be in marketing, whether it be in service, whether it be any sort of admin role within the industry. That is really important. But of course it does come down to that training from the moment they enter the business as well. And again, part of our people management and development unit that we have, we very much talk about that training and how important that training is, and ensuring that the team members have the tools that they need, they have the support, they feel, as was what mentioned earlier, that empowerment to make decisions, to make that customer journey a lot more efficient and help with service recovery where needed. So we are very much, talking with industry all the time to see what's new, what more do we need to teach our students, what more can we add into the units that we already have that are based around what a lot of people have mentioned already today. And we know that this is going to change a lot, and we are definitely on top of as much as we can with working with industry to ensure that our students are graduate ready for these roles.
Definitely. That's really, that sort of underpins everything, doesn't it? The knowledge, the behaviours that people are doing, all is underpinned with that foundation of knowledge, training, and development to build upon in those areas. That's great. Thank you, everybody. I think it's really good to explore some of those key areas. What I'd like to do for the next few minutes or so is to try and give some examples in your own businesses of how you've developed your customer service strategies, really. So, and one of the big areas in that is personalization. So I think we all love it when somebody knows your name, when you're greeted in your room with a little welcome card. So there's some of the more traditional things that you get in when you're staying, particularly in hotels. And I think we all kind of a little bit disappointed if it doesn't happen now. It's almost like a given, oh, where's my bowl of fruit and my little welcome card? But what other things are you doing in your businesses to move that personalization on? I'll just open it to the floor for this one.
I'm happy to jump in. So from a strategic perspective, we look at it in I guess a way that makes sense. So we talk pre-arrival. You know, there's always an opportunity to begin the experience before the guest arrives. So we have a process of collating information, and that would be again, it's quite a personal thing. So we'll try and make contact with the guest pre-arrival to understand their reasons for visiting us, particularly if they've never stayed with us before and we have no background information on them, because typically our amenities and our standards from within the hotel, what we offer the guest, will be based around their membership. You know, how many times they stayed with us, if they're coming for anniversary, if they're coming for special events, that kind of thing. And we will then try and tailor to the individual, whether it's maps and route finding to the destination that they need to go to. You look at the marathon, for example, we're communicating now everything we have on in the hotel for them. So post-race showers, shower facilities, which is a really important thing to them because they don't always book the night after the event and they just have nowhere to shower. They just stink all the way home. It's not only for the marathon runners, but for everyone else on the train with them. And then we look at other elements as well around, okay, well, they're going to need tons of bananas and isotope drinks and all this kind of stuff. So that will be provided. They'll need breakfast at 4:30 in the morning. All of that's being sent out to them so they can plan, because it's so important as a marathon runner to have everything planned out to the letter. So we look as far ahead as possible at each of these key events. They're the easy ones. The harder ones is targeting the individual guests that wouldn't normally provide any significant information for us. Then it's on site. Can we have a conversation with them where we find out, you know, maybe they really like Lucozade. Maybe that's the thing they really like in their room. So every time they stay with us, they get a couple bottles of Lucozade. It's, you know, simple little things like that. Maybe they're bringing their kids with them and we can provide some board games and stuff in the room. And it's those personal touches that separate one hotel from the other. And you know, the Hampton by Hilton, or no, it's the Doubletree by Hilton, sorry, that do the cookies, and it was recently surveyed about the impact of those cookies, and that, you know, the vast majority of people know about that brand because of the individualism of that cookie on arrival, that lovely warm cookie. It's such a simple thing, but it creates a narrative for that specific brand. And it's something that is identifiable. And then if you're able to create something like that in your own hotel through consistent personalization, then that's something that's going to see repeat guests come for decades, I think.
Definitely, totally agree, Jacob. And you know, as a dad, anything that you can do to entertain the kids is always welcome when you're staying in a hotel. And it's just things I've noticed in when we've stayed away, is you go down to eat as a family, go down to the restaurant, and the first thing I did on the first night was say, could you remove everything off this table? Because even in the high chair, they'll just do that anyway, and there'll be glasses and salt and pepper sellers everywhere. And the second night we came down for dinner, it was empty table, and it didn't look very welcoming. But they realised they knew what happened the night before. It was ready. They asked us what time we was coming down for dinner, and it was just brilliant. And it was just such a you know, such a simple thing to do, but made such a big impact on us as a family. And that's, you know, because they listened, they saw, and they adapted. It wasn't like, well, our service standards say that you must have a knife, fork, napkin on your table when you come down to dinner. No, that went out the window. It was what the guest needed, which was exactly how it was. So brilliant. You know, that understanding their guest. Anybody else got any examples of what you're doing in terms of personalization?
I think you mentioned earlier that hospitality now it's in large numbers and it's industrialized, but I think that we have to try to the extent that we can to keep it as bespoke and personalized as possible. For example, some hotels, they can just print a welcome letter or a welcome card automatically from a printer. In contrast to that, we prefer to have handwritten bespoke messages for guests that are coming. Might be just a simple welcome, might be just a simple wish, but that shows to the guest that someone actually put the time and the effort to make a nice small gesture for them.
Yeah.
The thing is that we are in a good position because we have many returning guests, so they know what they're going to get and we know their needs, so it's easier for us to prepare it. But again, I believe that the mentality is this one. How would you like it to be? What would be the ideal stay for you? And we're going to work towards that direction. So if it's a family, we know what they want more or less. If they're corporate guests, we know what they want more or less. If they're groups, we know. If they're couples on anniversaries, on special occasions, we know what they expect more or less. So we are just trying to meet their expectations. And in many occasions, even go above and beyond that.
Yes, and I think
Definitely.
Jacob really took it well in terms of doing it by pre-arrival stage and then arriving and then post-arrival. So we do it a lot in pre-arrival as well. So sending out those pre-arrival PDFs about the hotel, so they know everything about the local area. As I mentioned previously, everything from transport links to restaurants to the entertaining places around in the area. So that really encourages them that now they are looking forward to staying. So that gets a first touch in, and when they arrive, it's every time when I'm speaking, this would go down. That's the
So we'll
set
cut that bit out as well. Harsh, don't worry. Two edits needed.
Yeah, yeah, it's twice, so I don't expect it now again. But yes, when they arrive again, front desk, they are really good to kind of get to know the guest at time of arrival, what their needs are. For me, whenever some of my clients are coming in, I do use social media a lot. I do a lot of dig down into the data. I would go to LinkedIn, I would go to the Instagram pages and to see what they are into. So if one of the content creators I was hosting in, so I've gone into it, I've seen what he normally does and where he stays, what are his preferences, and then reached out to one of his team members that what he likes, and then let's say arrange the same company protein drinks that he takes, the gym timings, the dietary, the protein water, and those small things which definitely would cost for a while, but it's like they haven't expected that. We've started doing a very little thing like introducing the guest of the day. So we display it everywhere in the lobby, and it just one of the guests would feel really welcomed for that day. So you just change it daily, and most of the time it is no cost to the hotel, and it really goes a long way. That okay, you take pictures there. That okay, it's written on all the mirrors with mirror messages that today's guest of the day is Mr. Jacob or Mr. Sam. So it goes a long way. So a lot of things which are still at the time cost effective, but leaves a good personal touch, getting those mirror messages down into the rooms and all the basic traditional things as well. But I think, yeah, getting to know the guests better through using those new channels right now, which has become much more easier than previously when you all would have started working, because I'm quite young still. So yes, I've been adapted to technology and I do try to make most use of it. So yeah.
Has anybody had any experience of when guests have not enjoyed that personalization? You know, they just want to be left alone, or is that not an experience? Does everybody like that? You know, that personalized bit of, you know, just someone just want to come, sleep, go, don't want the fuss.
I think
No?
I think everyone likes to have that personalisation. I know what you mean where when you're coming in. I think when we came to a hotel when we were travelling with our children, when we arrived at 1 a.m, and we were all really, really tired, and bless them, the reception team came out. They wanted to play with the children. They wanted to show us around the hotel, and we were just like, yeah, we just really want to go to the room. So it was kind of like, this is 1 a.m, and bless them, it was at the service, you know, there's gift bags on there trying to get the kids excited, and we were like, oh gosh, not right now, this is not the time, this is nice, but no. But I think in general, I think personalisation works really nicely. And I know in one hotel, just what Harsh was saying that I worked in, that we used to also do, when we had clients coming in, our chefs would get the logo, we'd give the logo to our chefs, and they'd make little cakes for them as well with their logo on it, and we'd put their logo around the lunch area where we were at the table, and did lots of thank yous and things using logos. And I think in general that personalisation works quite well. You know, if the timing's right, and just if you're reading the room, correctly.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's reading the body language. It's understanding, you know, that maybe 1 o'clock in the morning is not the best time to be stimulating children.
Yes.
You know, but you know, like you're right. In general, it is, you know, very. And I guess also, you know, I've sometimes stayed as a business traveller, you know, on work on my own, you know, and literally you just want to come in, make sure you're, you know, all the basics work, you know, Wi-Fi, you got water, you know, it works, and get up in the morning and go. You know, we're not there for a long time, so you know, there's not much personalisation needed, but it's identifying that guest early, and I guess this is where your technology comes in, doesn't it? As operators, you know, looking at your guest data, their history of where they've stayed, and anticipating, like Harsh was talking about, their needs earlier. Just to call out, because we are on the back end of this webinar now, so if anybody does have questions, please pop them through. We do have another comment come in. So this is be interesting to hear more about how you cater for people who may have additional needs for requirements, including invisible disabilities and health needs. So yeah, how do you go about anticipating or working with those guests, really? Jacob, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I think same rules really apply in terms of getting an understanding, a clear understanding of what the requirements are from that guest, and obviously it comes back to that sort of training within the team, active listening. So we're not always being told the answer to the question as obviously as we think we might. There are obvious ways to look at disability, and we complete peak forms and this sort of stuff when a guest checks in, and so we know a process. But of course there are invisible disabilities and bits that we won't know without engaging in some level of conversation and building some kind of relationship with that person. So it fundamentally again comes back to that level of training and trying to build within the team a want for that knowledge and understand of what to do with that when you have it. You know, I think there's a good example we've had recently of some of the guests, or one or two of the guests that have stayed in our apartments here. We have just over 100 long stay apartments, and guests come here from overseas with you know, various needs. So they're sometimes away from their families for the first time, attending university in London, and they're young and they've not been away from home, and it impacts sometimes their mental health, you know, and they miss home and need a connection. So part of our service is, you know, to provide the human touch, not just, okay, well, what do you need? You know, we'll get you your fairy washing up liquid, your eggs and your milk when you arrive. So you've got something in the fridge, and you know, we'll show you where all the shops are. We'll show you how to use the underground and help you purchase your Oyster card. We do all that, but actually what we'll do on top of that is one of the guys will come and see you a couple of days a week when you're having your breakfast, and we'll just have a catch up, and we'll see. We've got people literally appointed to do that role with these guys that are here, and we often spend time with their parents. We have a call with their parents beforehand, before arrival, and see if there's anything that they can tell us that will help support them whilst they're here, and you know, whether we can do anything with actual specified disabilities, if there's stuff we need to prepare. So where, you know, we do the traditional stuff in a hotel with disabled access, that kind of thing, with fire alarm, repeaters, vibrating things under the pillow, that kind of stuff, and audible things. It's actually, you know, again, to exceed those expectations, it's the personal touch, and it's that traditional thing, that term that we've all heard of, is active listening, and making sure that we're actually looking for the opportunity, and the team are empowered to do something with that after.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's really good, Jacob. And I've seen nodding around from the room, so I guess, you know, everybody's in agreement with what you're saying there, and that, I guess, caters for the older customer, the older guest as well, doesn't it? It's not just You know,
well, I mean,
it's
the apartment we've got. One of our guests has been here for 36 years. You know, and,
wow.
and last year we adapted his entire apartment now because he's sort of, you know, reached an age where he needs more support in his room. So we've completely changed. All of his cupboards were up here. Now they're down low. You know, we have altered the shower and the bath and all this kind of stuff because he's been with us for 36 years. You know, you have a dedication to the individual there as well, and it's such a close relationship. And we then, again, with that age group, we look for opportunities to see if there's something we can do to help facilitate a more comfortable stay. The apartment's a really obvious example because anything you do is a long-term investment as well. They're at least in for a month normally. If not 36 years, they're at least in for a month. So it's really worthwhile and very obvious return on investment in that you get a very happy guest for a very long time that stays with you. So yeah, I think it's certainly important to look at that from a hotel perspective as well, but the apartments are a good clean example for us of how we manage that.
Excellent. We're coming towards the end of the webinar now, so before we kind of wrap up, I'd just like to go around the room one more time and just ask you for some recommendations really of where people can find out more information about this subject. It might be a book, it might be a webinar, it might be another podcast that you've listened to, it might be another webinar, just where people can find out more information and keep learning about this subject. So I'm going to go around the other way this time. So Harsh, could I start with you, please?
Yes. Hopefully lights won't go off this time, but yes.
Keep waving those arms.
Yes, so one of the really good articles that I was searching through and looking through is, so there's one on the Harvard Business Review. So it's named by How to Anticipate Guest Needs. It's by Jacob Tomsky. So that's a really interesting one. And one of the books, actually, I remember from my university time, we had a library. So it's called Heart of Hospitality. So, and the definition goes by, it's great hotel and restaurant leaders all have shared their sessions and their successes, that what made their businesses successful. So it's by Micah Solomon. So I'm not sure if it can be on library, or you can definitely get an ebook online if you search by the Heart of Hospitality. So yes, it's a nice one. You get leaders, their names. You can actually go and see those leaders on LinkedIn. That okay, this guy is not fake. So yeah, it's really good things, and yeah, I would really recommend that.
Excellent, brilliant. Thank you, Harsh. And just as a reminder to members that are listening in today, the Institute has its own library as well. So you can log on as an Institute member, access the library. Not only is there a huge range of ebooks and audiobooks on there, but there's also periodicals. So you'll be able to read articles like Harsh has recommended from the Harvard Business Review on there as well. So a free resource to IoH members to access those books that Harsh mentioned. Brilliant, thank you, Harsh. Pamela, if I could come to you next, please.
Yeah, as Harsh said, there are some really good customer service books and articles and journals, and actually there's quite a few YouTube videos that we quite often show our students as well. But one book in particular that I read that actually I resonated quite a lot with, because I felt like it touched on quite a lot of areas that we focus on when we're looking at customer service, and quite a lot of actually what we've just mentioned at the moment. It's called 5-Star Service, and it's how to deliver exceptional customer service, and it's by Michael Heppel. And in there it is very much around what we've discussed, is in that culture, also looking at our team and the training of the team, and really just ensuring that we know what our customer needs, and kind of doing that old phrase of that, trying to over deliver and exceed our customer expectation, and it does really touch on that. So that's one I would definitely recommend, because it has some really useful practices in there, and some really good recommendations for training and how to make that customer service 5-star, as it says in the title. It is very good.
Brilliant, excellent, brilliant. Thanks, Pamela. And Terry, if I could come to you next.
Well, generally, I would suggest to everyone to try to spend more time, just talk with more experienced people, with people that they have passed from this path before with you. It really helps. On top of that, if you ask for a recommendation, I would strongly suggest, the book from Danny Meyer, Setting Up the Table. It's very, very good book. It has some good principles about hospitality and business, and this comes from a person and from a company that really understand and give a lot of focus on the behavior of the person, not just on the technical skills, but also on how you communicate with the rest of the team and with your guests.
Excellent, brilliant. Yeah, Setting the Tables is a book that I've read a number of times. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Terry. Jacob.
One of the first books I read when I was in hospitality around leadership and building a culture was Our Iceberg is Melting by John Cotter. It's one of the books that Ed Gallier used to hand out like anything, like sweets, because it builds, foundational knowledge and guidance on how to bring a culture together and have a community effort within an organization. So I think it's a really just good all-rounder book, not necessarily specifically for hospitality, but it's fundamental skills across all industries. And there's a podcast from Damon Klotz on culture, on building a strong culture. So that's the other thing I thought resonated really well. And the last thing I'd say is obviously the IoH materials. I think attending webinars like this, everyone that's on the webinar, I'll plug it, Sam, because I feel like that's the thing to do. But these things are so useful. Speaking to other industry professionals, always having the insights and hearing from different perspectives, they're critical. And yeah, I think there's plenty of expert knowledge available to us through the IoH.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Jacob. £5 is in the post. But yeah, you're right. And obviously our mentoring program is also a really good way of exchanging knowledge and experience between members and fellows and entry-level talent and students. So if you're interested in that, then take a look at the website. Just 2 books from me to finish this last segment off. One is called You Are a Badass book. It's all about making sure that you're living an awesome life, because I think that's a really important one. And then Star Quality Hospitality by Monica Orr. Again, this is now the 2nd edition, so another good book to get your hands on as well, available on Amazon and all good bookshops, as somebody once said. So that brings us nicely to the end of today's webinar. Thank you to our expert panel. It's really amazing to have such expertise and views and knowledge, and hopefully this has been very informative to our audience on and sharing some of that best practice with you all. Do remember to add this hour to your CPD records. Really important that we record our CPD and show our professionalism in the sector, that you're invested in your own personal development and your own learning development as part of your lifelong learning journey. Before you go, just a reminder about the next couple of IoH events in the pipeline. On Monday, we have the IoH Youth Council Speed Networking event in London. Then we have our IoH in Conversation on the 21st of March, which I'm also part of, so I'm sure the attendance will be huge for that one. And then we have our AGM for the Southwest also that evening on the 21st of March. So that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you again to our panel. It's been great to chat with you this afternoon about a subject I think is always close to everybody's heart. So it's just left for me to say thank you very much. Have a lovely afternoon, and we'll see you all again very soon. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.